Howdy. I had a big conversation with a guy called Howard over there in Maine in northeastern America. And I said, Australia's had three great big floods over here down the east coast of Australia. Lismore went underwater twice within weeks. The Hawkesbury River Bridge at Windsor here in Western Sydney also went under twice within weeks. And thousands of homes have been destroyed. And I had a conversation. I said, well, when it floods over here a couple of months later, I said, it will flood over there in America. Howard said, no, it won't. No. I said, well, would you like to have a $100 bet? And he said, no. He said, it won't flood over here. It won't happen. Have a listen to this. Let's see how good Mr. Hominoid is. So that's why you, my subscribers, stick with me. This lady is reporting on northern Minnesota. Now this guy, Howard, is from Maine. So isn't Minnesota around about the same longitude, latitude lines? Up the top north end of America? Let's see how good Mr. Hominoid is.
Battling historic flooding right now. Officials say water levels are rising up to an inch a day. And get this, it may not recede for weeks. From our Minneapolis affiliate, Heidi Wigdahl looks at how exactly residents are coping.
Historic flooding continues on Rainy Lake, leaving those along it trying to stop it.
I'm feeling like we're overwhelmed, but you can't quit.
Tara Nelson is the owner of Tara's Wharf Ice Cream Shop and Rainy Lake Inn in Rainier.
The first floor of the boathouse, which is adjacent to the ice cream shop, is underwater. The main part of my building is still about 4 inches above water, but the way the water came up last night and the forecast, I expect it won't be very long.
Tara says her entire building is about to be surrounded by water, putting a hold on both her businesses. Sandbagging no longer works. She's now focused on moving her things to storage.
It's not in toothpicks and it's not in ashes, so I consider myself fortunate.
The whole community is stressed out and tired.
Coochin County Sheriff Perrin Headland says Friday Rainy Lake water levels surpassed the 1950 record.
Since that time, we've risen a couple inches. We're rising anywhere from a half inch to an inch a day.
The sheriff says
higher than the 1950 record. So in other words, it's a record buster. Exactly what happened over here.
Flooding has impacted more than 900 structures, with about 250 homes damaged.
Exactly what happened over here.
And it's not just the Midwest seeing heavy rain. NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us now with a stormy forecast for some. Michelle, good morning.
That's right. Good morning. Yeah, a lot of us seeing storms today, even seeing some showers and heavy rain. It's those summer-like storms where we see a lot of rain within these storms. So this is what it looks like right now on radar. You can see a lot of green, so a lot of us waking up to some wet weather today. Some of us waking up to some storms early this morning. We do have some strong to severe storms, especially in the southern plains this morning. This will be the bullseye for some storms later on this afternoon, as well as the central plains. So we do have a severe thunderstorm watch. Again, seeing some heavy rain where you see the yellows, the reds, the oranges, seeing some lightning, hearing some thunder. 10 million at risk today for damaging hail, 2 inches or larger. That's large hail. Also winds gusting up to 60, 65 miles per hour. A few tornadoes are possible, most likely where you see the orange, but likely also Rapid City, De Pueblo, Dodge City, Wichita. We could see some storms there as well. We're concerned about the heavy rain as well, especially where you see the darker shading equaling 2 to 3 inches. We're going to see those heavy downpours within these storms. That's a look at the big weather story of the day. Here's a closer look at your day ahead. All right, showers and storms along the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, developing into the northeast today. Temperatures right around normal for this time of year. Temperatures not normal in the south. We are so hot in so many places, 107.
Righto. Now let's have a look to see what happened here.
2 weeks. The Prime Minister shook hands with those of people helping others before lending one himself.
These are helping hands.
Preparing hampers of food and supplies for people still trapped. The ADF were out getting dirty too. 4,000 troops now deployed across the state under Operation Flood Assist.
That presence is a very welcome sight, and I know a great encouragement.
But former Governor-General Sir Peter...
He's a former Prime Minister now. This is before the election. This here filming here was at Windsor, New South Wales, west of Sydney.
Cosgrove says relying on them in disasters is no longer a viable option, and that a highly trained civilian emergency response force,
that's the North Richmond Bridge, and that bit there is, North Richmond.
Could be the way forward.
Wouldn't it be great if we could pile in from the federal level people who are federally
Have access to supplies and support from this side of the bridge.
That bridge there that was their brand new bridge, and they said it won't go underwater, and it did. Ha! I personally told them it would go underwater. It had to be another 4 metres higher.
It'll be a long road ahead for residents to once again then returning this spa to its owner after it washed up on their farm.
I put it on the local Facebook pages. No one's owned up to it yet.
They no doubt deserve it to unwind after a very tough 2 years. Bill Hogan, 7 News.
There you go. 2 years of floods.
Josh, what happens now?
I don't really know, to be honest. It's heartbreaking that the people with the resources are giving us the runaround. The only advice we get is do your best. So if we can't help you, bring somebody else.
These horses were kept in floodwater for about a week until they were rescued, because the guy went out there in his boat and he found them and he rescued them, and then he finally got the RSPCA and the other services to act. Have a look at this. This is disgusting. This is in the Hawkesbury River, west of Sydney. This is, apart from being America flooding and Australia flooding, this is also how callous people leave their animals behind during a flood.
Why not get yourself a rock band and a roadie called Shane?
Today, Wayne's world came crashing down just 2 weeks after picking up the keys to his new home.
The same on your first year's premium when you buy a comprehensive car insurance policy online with Budget Direct. That's when I knew they'd solved it. It's time you switched to Budget Direct.
Across parts to remain vigilant heading into the weekend as flood warning river in North Richmond. The flood level is beginning to recede and has done for a while. That's for suburbs in northwest Sydney after the river peaked at Windsor at 13.8 metres. That was on Wednesday. The Bureau of Meteorology
now,
is telling residents not to be
see that building over there? See that little white awning?
Floodwaters continue to recede along the Nepean and Hawkesbury rivers, revealing the scale of the disaster. Authorities are a long way from putting a final price tag on the damage bill. And as Jonathan Lee found out, many are only now discovering what remains of their properties.
Darren Osmotherley has the river in his veins. We travel with him to his flooded cafe at Lower Portland. He knew it would be bad. What he finds, though, is overwhelming.
How much has been lost?
Well, in these cool rooms, probably 25 grand in food.
25 grand in food.
Just that's without everything else. The damage is probably 400.
Last week, the popular Paradise Cafe Pizzeria looked like this. Now, a muddy soup of water covers once beautiful gardens. Inside, chairs float around through windows. Darren, like so many others here, thought he was okay.
It sort of bluffed us. Everyone thought it was over, it went down, we cleaned up.
Up to a level not seen since 1978. The business he built by hand 20 years ago wasn't here then. He had to rebuild after last year's flood disaster. We do an interview with him on his restaurant's roof.
We just got over it, like we're just taking a year to get back from where we were.
Okay, so the last big one was 1978, which I remember. I was 17 years old. This restaurant wasn't there then. He just survived the flood from last year, 12 months earlier, to the day, virtually to the day, and then now he's copped another one. And I said to Howard over in Maine, I said, we copped it over here, you're going to cop it over in America. Thanks, Howard. You proved me right. From Mr. Hominoid down here in Australia, I hope you like that. And research is part of my game. And if you want to look that up, that is Sky News flood evacuations underway in parts of Sydney, March the 9th, 2022. For me, Mr. Hominoid, like, share and subscribe. What happens here in Australia happens over there in America. when we had the big bushfires over here and the American firefighters died down the south coast of New South Wales on the east side of Canberra, the following 6 months later, the whole of California went up in smoke, right up almost up to Washington and right across the bottom end of America, up there even through Texas. What happens here in Australia always repeats over there in America. So if you're an American listening to this, remember that. What's the news in Australia? But then be prepared for it over there in America 6 months later. Because this is in March, January, February, March. Now it's June. There you go. So it didn't take long. Me, Mr. Hominoid. See you later. What is it? It's only a month or 2 months behind. Because this is the floodwater going down on the 9th of March. This floodwater rain started in early April. See you later. Like, share and subscribe, Mr. Hominoid, and mrhominoid@gmail.com. See ya.